All right, so again, the point of today's lesson is to talk about all these different methods we've learned how to solve a quadratic with, when to use which method. The idea is that we want to do whichever is going to be the easiest to solve based on the equation, all right? So when do I factor? You're going to factor if the numbers are small, right? Doesn't it suck when I have to find two numbers that like add to 100 but multiply to like 500? And then you're sitting and you're thinking about what are all the factors of 500? And that's too much, right? It sucks to factor when the numbers are too big, right? So you can try factoring if the numbers are small, okay? The other time you can try factoring when A is 1. Now, we have learned how to factor when A isn't 1, but let's be real, you guys aren't very good at it. Remembering the first time's last factoring thing. So I would recommend just not doing it if A isn't 1, okay? Or if it has a GCF. That's the other time you want to factor. Or lastly, if there's no C, which is our constant. The number without the variable. Those are the times you want to factor, okay? Okay, take square roots. You want to take a square root if there's no B, which is our middle term, or when it's already set up to take square roots, which would mean the setup looks like this. Complete the square is my recommendation to do whenever possible because you guys are awesome at it, okay? This is the one on all your tests you score really, really well on. So if you can complete the square, I recommend to do that, okay? So you complete the square when A is 1 and B is even, right? Because don't we start by cutting our middle number in half? So you can complete the square anytime your A is 1 and B is even. So if that's the case, do that. That's the easiest. That's the one you guys are the best at, okay? And then quadratic formula is going to be the other situations. So anytime A isn't 1 and there's no GCF, okay? So again, we're not learning a new method today. What we're going to talk about is how do I decide which method is going to be the easiest for me to use to solve it, okay? Questions so far? Okay, let's look at 1A. Which method is going to be the easiest? Complete the square. Good. Why? You got it. Complete the square. Because A is 1 and B is an even number. All right, next. What would we do on the next one? Why factor? Aurora is right. Why is that the factoring the best one? You got it, because of the GCF. Right, so we're trying to go through and decide which one is going to be the easiest and why. Because it has a GCF, it's going to make the numbers nice and small. Okay, it's going to factor good. Okay? What about C? What method is the best? Quadratic formula or factoring? Or factoring. Come on. Here's why. One, quadratic formula will work anytime, right? But the numbers are also kind of small, and A is 1, so you could try factoring it, okay? So A is 1, and the numbers are small. Even though it kind of looks like one I'd like to try completing the square, why can't I complete the square on that one? Good. B's not even. I can't cut -5 in half nicely. Okay? Good. All right, D, what's the best method? Yeah, take square roots. Because of how it's set up. It's already set up for us to add 6 and then square root both sides. I wouldn't want to do quad formula because then I'd have to FOIL that out and put it into standard form first. That's going to be a lot of work, right? It's already set up just to add 6 and then square root both sides, okay? Okay, let's stop here. What questions do you guys have so far? Anything? Nothing so far? Okay. What about this one? What about this one? What's the easiest method? What is it? No, good guess though. Taking square roots because there's no B.
Oh, that's good.
So it's ready to just add 16 and square root both sides. Because there's no middle term. I can't cut B in half if there's no middle term, right? Okay, and what about the last one? What's the best method? Not factoring. Quadratic formula. Because A is not 1. What is A? Right? So A doesn't equal 1, and it's no GCF. So A is not 1, and it doesn't have a GCF. Okay. All right, what questions do you guys have? Now, because now we're going to go through. Brady, will you get your notes out? Now we're going to go through and practice this process. So that's all the new stuff, and it's only kind of new-ish, right? Is how to decide which method is the best one to use to solve, okay? So, number 3, decide which method is best, then solve it. So I actually am going to find the X, okay? So which method is going to be the easiest? Wait.